London Uncovered, as we are moving on to a very special episode. And today we are talking about be judicious and not judgmental. And yes, as humans, we know that we are not perfect, for we all make mistakes. We all stumble, we all falter, and we all bear our own flaws. Therefore, it is not fair to be quick to judge others. Putting it simply, being judgmental means forming strong opinions or making critical evaluations of others based on one's own standards or beliefs. Whereas the term judicious refers to the quality of being wise, sensible, or careful in making decisions or taking actions. A person who is judicious is able to exercise good judgment, think critically, and weigh the consequences of their choices before acting. Research shows that within 7 seconds, people form 11 impressions of us, known as the 7-11 rule. The 11 conclusions we make are the following: educational level, economic level, perceived credibility, believability, competence and honesty, trustworthiness, level of sophistication, orientation, level of success, and political background. So why do we judge? We judge others for various reasons, including our survival instincts, social comparison, cultural and societal norms, personal biases, and lack of empathy. It also helps us feel superior by judging others harshly. To sum it up all, Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung says, thinking is difficult, that's why most people judge. And we can see that judging is easy and doesn't require much thinking or reasoning. Understanding is harder, as it requires deep thinking, patience, compassion, and an open mind. So how can we avoid judging? Firstly, we should be open and seek to understand with a mind unburdened by preconceived notions. Secondly, we should let empathy be a compass to understand the complexities of others' circumstances. And finally, we should cultivate self-awareness through self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, and self-compassion. It is written in the Bible, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged," in Matthew 7, verse 1. This divine wisdom does not forbid discernment, it merely cautions us against the dangers of unjust criticism. By being judicious, we can promote greater harmony and mutual respect in our personal and professional lives, avoiding misunderstandings and making better decisions based on accurate information. And one poet says it beautifully, and he says, "Let us shatter the glass that separates us all and dismantle the barriers that make us small. For judgment's prison, it holds no key, only empathy can set us all free." Tell us, what does judging mean to you?
Well, there's a big question and one that has so many answers. I think it's something that all humans judge. It's human nature that we make snap judgments that are sometimes incorrect. I myself have judged people in the past. People have judged me and I'm sure make many assumptions about me as well. So it's something that we all have to learn how to manage, how maybe that your instantaneous judgment isn't always the right one, that you have to look at how people really are. But judgment can also be used for safety, and sometimes judging a situation is not safe is also a good thing.
So what can one do about it?
Well, if you are guilty of judging people constantly and not always in a nice way, it's really getting to know a person, finding out about them, and maybe not always taking that instant judgment. That sometimes people can be scared, they can be upset, they can be nervous, and that can make them come across in a certain way, and then it's up to you to try and get past that judgment that you yourself are putting on them. Also, obviously people will judge you, and then it's sometimes you just have to let it go. Sometimes if people judge you a certain way and they're not willing to listen, it is okay to let things go. And again, it can work the reverse. If you get to know someone, maybe they can change their judgment on you.
Sally, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anjay.
Tell us, what does judging mean to you?
Judging means two things, I think, for me. The first is that when you're judging something, you're deciding what's living and what's not living in it. So You're deciding which of this is going to survive and which of it is kind of naturally falling apart or needs to go or needs to be got rid of. Now, the second thing I think of when I think of judgment is a phrase that an old guy from South Africa once said to me. He said, "Peter, nobody knows who I am till Judgment Day. The final day when everything is known. And until that point, nobody knows who I am." I've always kept that in my mind. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows who you are till Judgment Day. I wondered why that is so, and I think it's because who I am and who you are related to how the whole world is, how I relate to people above me, below me, around me, my past, my ancestors, and my future, people who are going to come after me. So nobody really knows who I am till Judgment Day. Two things: cutting things, what's living, what's dead, and also the fact that nobody really finally knows until Judgment Day.
So what can one do about it?
Well, I think there's a difference between, we all have to make judgments. We're all deciding what to keep and what to throw away, and where to go next. Those kind of judgments are fine. But the kind of judgment that's terrible is the one where it says, I know what I think and you are beyond redemption, or you are somebody I cannot possibly trust, and I want nothing to do with you, and I know who you truly are. Because then I think you're really saying, I'm God, I'm judging you on Judgment Day. But nobody knows who you really are or who somebody else is. So you can make practical judgments, but I don't think you can make I'm definitively in the right and you're definitively in the wrong judgments until the end of time.
So what message would you give to the world, Peter?
Nobody knows who you are till Judgment Day.
Peter, as always, a pleasure. Thank you very much. Tell us, what does judging mean to you?
Judging? It's a good question. It's a word, I think judging has taken on slightly a negative connotation in today's society. To be a judge is obviously to be a top lawyer, is to be an elder, is to be a sage, is to be one who has wisdom and who sits and is able to make difficult decisions when faced with the facts. So judge is actually a great thing. Judgmentalism is not a good thing. So to be a judge and to be able to judge between different options is a good thing, but judgmentalism is not good. That's when you're cynical, where you're critical, and when you're looking down on others, you're condescending because you're assuming that you have the right to do that, what you think is the only way of seeing something. So I think judging, I would veer towards the word wisdom. And when it comes to judgmentalism, avoid that like the plague, because none of us has all the answers. All of us need one another to create a world in which we better understand. When I talk to my staff team, I say what we need is to all be different and to all see the world differently and all to pray differently, and that way we get 360 vision. No one of us has that by ourselves. I think of those, those cars that you see going around, Google Earth cars with the big cameras on top, and they give a 360 view of the streets, Google Street View, Google Earth, all of those. If you had the camera that you're using today, and that was it, just pointing at one thing, you would only see one perspective. And we've always got to be very, very careful that in our judging, we are humble, that we say, I might see this in a certain way, but I do not have 360 view on this. And so I need to be careful in my discernment. I need to be prayerful, I need to be conversant with other people, always dialogue with others and get other views, and then and only then come to the conclusion that you would come to. And never so that you're putting others down and making them feel less than you.
Jamie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ajay.
Judicious, what does judging mean to you?
So judging, in my opinion, involves elevating yourself into the position of the bench. You're above the person you are judging, and you are casting your own views and your own senses down upon them.
So what can one do about it?
One has to be cautious because you never have the full picture when it comes to judging. You don't have all the information. You might have a lot though. And so whilst it's important to not allow injustices to fly by, at the same time, if you don't have all the information, you might not be in the position to make a perfect judgment. So if you are going to judge, just bear in mind that you don't have all the information, or you might not have all the information.
What message would you give to the world?
Be careful, because if you judge others, it's an invitation for them to judge you.
Cameron, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Tell us, what does judging mean to you?
We all judge other people. It's just a natural thing that we do. So there's an expression that says, first impressions last. And I've never really been a big fan of that, because if we were to judge everybody on our first impression, we wouldn't really like anybody, or there'd just be a complete disparity in who we like and who we don't like. Like I say, it's just a natural thing that we do. Unfortunately, I think we can't help it.
So what can one do about it?
Like I say, if you want to judge somebody, you need to judge them not within the first maybe 5 minutes of meeting them. Judge them on maybe knowing them for a substantial amount of time. Otherwise, you're just going to dismiss somebody who could potentially be, your life partner, somebody who could be a good friend. And that goes for being judged as well, because if the first impression you give somebody is of you being, something negative, not arrogant or rude, then you're not going to come across well yourself. So it's all about having that perspective.
What message would you give to the world, Tom?
In terms of judging people, just be, like I said, be balanced. Try and be balanced in if you are going to judge somebody, and not just take them at face value. Take them for every aspect that they present themselves. Not just on your own criteria, if you like.
Tom, once again, a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.